Hey tribe, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down another practice question, two actually. This is RayTube practice question number 46, and we have two practice questions within this one video, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's jump into it. So for the first question, a supervisor at an agency is meeting with a social work intern to discuss their caseload. The intern says working with one client in particular has been challenging for them because of their presenting problem of grief after losing a family member to cancer. The intern also recently lost a family member to cancer. What should the supervisor do next? A. Educate the intern about transference and how it can impact the therapeutic relationship. B. Inform the intern that the client will be removed from their caseload due to the impact it's having on the therapeutic relationship. C. Educate the intern about countertransference and how it can impact the therapeutic relationship. Or D. Schedule a meeting with the intern and the client to discuss the situation in order to maintain a healthy therapeutic relationship. Pause the video, reread through the question, reread through the answer choices, select your best answer, unpause the video, and we'll jump into the explanation. Okay, if you picked C, you are correct. Why? So let's look at A. Educate the intern about transference and how it can impact the therapeutic relationship. This is incorrect. Transference is not occurring in this situation. According to the Social Work Dictionary 6th edition, the transference of affectionate feelings to the worker is known as positive transference, and that of hostile feelings as negative transference on page 434 in the dictionary. So transference isn't happening within this question. Again, transference is when the client is feeling some type of way towards the social worker. In this scenario, the social worker is feeling some type of way towards the client. AKA, when the client is feeling some type of way towards the social worker and is impacting the quality of services being received from the social worker as a result. It could be a good thing, but the exam will most likely focus on when it's a negative thing, more than not. So that's why the correct answer, skipping over B for a second, is C. Educate the intern about countertransference and how it can impact the therapeutic relationship. This is correct. The intern is experiencing countertransference, so educating them about it would be appropriate. According to, again, the Social Work Dictionary, 6th edition, countertransference is a set of conscious or unconscious emotional reactions to a client experienced by the social worker or other professional, usually in a clinical setting. According to psychodynamic theory, these feelings originate in the professional's own development conflict and are projected onto the client. Countertransference is identical to transference, except that it applies to the feelings, wishes, and defensive operations of the therapist toward the client. Like transference, it must be constantly monitored and understood. So what's happening again in the question is countertransference, aka when the social worker is feeling some type of way towards the client and it's impacting the quality of services they provide them. And part of a supervisor's role is to help educate social workers about relevant topics as needed. This is one of those situations. Educating the intern about countertransference will help them learn, address the situation appropriately, and ultimately grow as a clinician. So that's why C is the correct answer. B, inform the intern that the client will be removed from their caseload due to the impact it's having on the therapeutic relationship. Too much, too soon. There's a chance this could occur if it's unable to be resolved through supervision, but not at this time. Again, too much, too soon. And when we look at D, schedule a meeting with the intern and the client to discuss the situation in order to maintain a healthy therapeutic relationship. This is incorrect. There's no need to schedule a meeting with the intern and the client at this time. Also, the supervisor will want to encourage the intern to have a conversation with the client if the therapeutic relationship is being impacted in a negative way. This would be a growth opportunity for the intern. Let's say the intern, and technically it could be any social worker, but let's say an intern, in this scenario, meeting with the client and, they're working with them and it's like, like this is hitting too close to home. It's heavy. We want the intern, or again, any social worker for that matter, experiencing this, to go to the supervisor, seek supervision, discuss the situation, and see if it can be resolved in a healthy manner for both parties, which is the social worker seeking supervision and the actual client. So let's say it's a situation where the client is going to be discharging in 2 sessions, and the supervisor and the social worker can discuss that and say, pretty much, do you think you can manage for the last 2 sessions so the client can discharge, or is that too much? Or do you think we can handle it? And let's say we are able to handle it, then all good. But let's say it's occurring, and we catch it in the beginning, so the therapeutic relationship wasn't like fully established in that regard, so it's not a massive disruption to the client receiving services, and we're discussing it with the supervisor and everything, and if it truly, truly, truly cannot be resolved as far as the social worker continuing to work with the client, because we're human too, right? Then that would be a chance for healthy disclosure when we're talking with the client. And we would explain to them with healthy disclosure by saying, we want to make sure that you receive top quality care. And due to something that's going on in my personal life, that's impacting that. So we want to make sure that you get the top quality care, so that it will benefit you as a whole. So we're going to refer you to another social worker. So again, you can receive that quality care, that quality service. And, again, having that discussion with the client and then, proceeding from there. Okay, so now let's go to question number 2. After meeting with the client, a social worker has decided to terminate services due to a conflict of interest. The client is upset with the social worker's decision and demands a copy of their records because they believe there's another reason why the social worker is terminating services. The client refuses the social worker's request to review the records together and believes the client will interpret them as another person abandoning them. How should the social worker respond next? A. Only provide portions of their records to decrease the chance of a negative response from the client and document the rationale. B. Adhere to the client's request for access to their records and document their request. C. Call local authorities to inform them that the client has become temperamental and document the rationale for contacting them. Or D. Inform the client that they are not entitled to access of their records. Take a second, pause the video, read through the question, read through the answer choices, unpause the video, and then we'll dive into the explanation. Okay. If you picked A, you are correct. Why? So, real quick, C, calling local authorities, this is incorrect. Although the client may be upset, the information provided doesn't warrant a call to local authorities, so this would be doing too much too soon. And according to the NASW Code of Ethics 1.08, Access to Records, Section A, social workers should provide clients with reasonable access to records concerning the client. Social workers who are concerned that clients' access to their records could cause serious misunderstanding or harm to the client should provide assistance in interpreting the records in consultation with the client regarding the records. Social workers should limit clients' access to their records or portions of their records only in exceptional circumstances when there is compelling evidence that such access would cause serious harm to the client. Pause right there for a second. When they say serious harm, they're not talking about physical harm, right? Because physical harm, whether we give the client access to their records or not, they're not going to experience physical harm. The type of harm they're talking about is that a mental, emotional harm. And it's stated right here, the client refuses the social worker's request to review the records together, like I was mentioning within the Code of Ethics, that how we're supposed to proceed. The client refused the social worker's request to review the records together and believes the client will interpret them as another person abandoning them. So my question to you is, if the social worker believes that the client will interpret it as another person abandoning them, and especially the nature of why sessions are ultimately terminating, do you believe that warrants as enough mental and or emotional harm? Enough for the social worker to say, I'm going to hold off on portions of your record. I think so. So that's why that's why A is the correct answer. Both clients' requests and the rationale for withholding some or all of the record should be documented in the client's records or in their files. And I'll have the supervision video in the description. But when it comes to these questions right here, knowing the code of ethics and our role as a supervisor or intern receiving supervision, we definitely want to have an understanding of that and how to proceed. Okay, tribe, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell a social work friend because we don't want to be licensed by ourselves. Remember, doing at least 2 practice questions a day and at least 1 practice exam a month helps keep the exam anxiety at bay, so we want to stay consistent with our studies. All right, tribe, great job doing our 2 a day. I'll see you next video.